Breaking news this morning, new evacuation orders overnight in the Palisades Fire all the way to the 405 as these winds just continue to push flames towards homes. Welcome to this special edition of the Fox 11 Weekend News. I'm Brooke Thomas.
I'm Bob DeCastro. We are covering, continuing coverage this morning of the multiple fires that continue to burn all across Southern California this morning. The largest is the deadly Palisades Fire. There's also the Eaton Fire, of course, in Altadena, that also was fatal, following by the Hurst Fire, the Kenneth Fire, and the Archer Fire. The good news there is that progress has been slowed.
The Palisades Fire continues to expand this morning with only 11% containment. Sadly, 5 people have lost their lives, but even sadder, the death toll will likely be higher. 21,596 acres have burned with more than 5,000 homes destroyed. 12,000 structures are threatened. Firefighters are struggling really to hold the line.
Yeah, in fact, new this morning, overnight, new evacuation orders extending far east as Sepulveda and the 405. People in the fire's path are being told to evacuate, and those areas include Brentwood, Bel Air, and parts of Encino, Sherman Oaks, and Tarzana. VA residents in West LA have now been evacuated, and UCLA students are on high alert, told to be ready to leave.
2 evacuation shelters have opened for the Palisades Fire. The first is Stoner Recreation Center. That's on 1835 Stoner Avenue. We have that address on your screen one more time, 1835 Stoner Avenue. The second is at Calvary Community Church in Westlake Village.
Well, as those fire lines spread across ridgetops and valleys, nerves are on edge this morning in the San Fernando Valley.
And more than 100,000 people, get that, 100,000 people are under evacuation orders. And overnight, evacuation orders now cover new areas. Let's go out to Gigi Graciet live in an evacuation zone, a new one in Bel Air with the latest. Gigi.
I can tell you it was an extremely long night, a long and stressful night for the folks of the San Fernando Valley as they watched this. Take a look at the Palisades Fire. We've gotten a lot of questions from folks in the valley if this was a new fire. This is the same fire that started on the other side of the hill, on the other side of San Fernando Valley. It is raging right now. You can see that thick gray smoke mixed in with very heavy black smoke. That black smoke indicates it has just hit a fresh pocket of fuel, and there is plenty to burn, plenty of vegetation. The weather is very cold and the wind is not high, which is a saving grace. Now, let's go to the video that we shot for you last night as the fire absolutely raged. This is the view from the San Fernando Valley. This is what residents saw last night as mandatory evacuation orders were issued, and folks in the Encino neighborhood south of Ventura Boulevard rushed to get out of their homes. The hills above Sherman Oaks, Encino, and Tarzana lit up with fire as that Palisades Fire made its way to the ridge and began threatening homes on the other side again of Pacific Palisades. The aerial firefight we saw was intense. At one point, LA City Fire and assisting agencies had 10 water-dropping choppers and planes in the air, putting everything they had on this fire to stop it from moving into yet another densely packed residential area. Evacuation orders again were immediately issued, forcing thousands of people from their home. We saw them coming down Havenhurst, down Balboa, getting out of the area. Many of those folks this morning, including friends of ours, are staying in hotels and with family members. Evacuation centers have also been opened in the San Fernando Valley as the fire continues to spread. Now take a look at the Pacific Palisades side of the fire. Mandeville Canyon, the fire there also continuing to rage, and with only 11% containment this morning, this firefight is far from over. Now yesterday, the folks who live in the hills in Encino, above, south of Ventura Boulevard, Encino Hills, Havenhurst, all of those streets right there, they had the fire burning right there on the ridge. But I want you to look at these pictures sent to us from Van Nuys. Hold on one second. Take a look at those pictures sent to us from Van Nuys. This had folks 5 and 8 miles away from the actual ridge of the fire, worried that they too would have to evacuate. And a lot of folks in the San Fernando Valley have already been on edge. And one of the reasons is because of all those erroneous evacuation alerts they received. And yesterday, when they saw what we're looking at in those pictures right now, they worried they were going to have to get out, even though they were at least 8 miles from the ridge of the fire. Let's bring it back here live. Photographer Armando Hernandez giving you a shot of what the fire is doing right now. We have the evacuation orders on our website, foxla.com. Bob and Brooke, of course, will be refreshing you with the areas that are under a mandatory evacuation order. And I'm going to ask photographer Armando Hernandez to follow me over here because I want to show you this strike team through Brentwood, Bel Air, and Encino this morning. Firefighters are stationed for structure and home protection. This strike team is from Utah, Salt Lake City, Woodland Hills, Utah, Moab. If I'm pronouncing that correctly, I hope. Thank you. I went up to all the firefighters, all the individual agencies here, and just thank them on behalf of the folks and the residents of Los Angeles for being here. They've been here all night long, and they're not going anywhere. They'll be relieved a little bit later. And all morning long, we have seen fire agencies from other states. We've got Arizona, we've got Nevada, we've got Utah behind me, all of them here to help us in this major crisis. We're going to have more on weather, but I want to tell you, we're going to go into a weather watch tonight, Saturday night, and there is a lot of concern, of course, about what we're seeing. I'm going to ask Armando just to leave you with this live shot because the smoke is intense, and this is visible from throughout the San Fernando Valley. Bob and Brooke, I'm going to send it back to you.
Yeah, Gigi, it is wild, the idea that, people are able to see this right from their homes.
Yeah, incredible pictures to look at this morning, Gigi, Armando, and yeah, especially when you figure the winds were dying down yesterday, and we were going to turn a corner here, so very jarring to see this morning. And of course, Maria will be telling us a little bit more about the winds and the situation, because we do expect those winds to pick up sometime tonight. Gigi, thank you.
Let's stay on this fire here, though, and bring in Stu Mundell and Sky Fox over the Palisades Fire. Stu.
Hey, Brooke and Bobby, good morning. Let's take a look at what that fire is doing right now. It has been pretty dramatic, a little bit of a wind change and a big problem for some folks in the Brentwood area. I'm going to give you a little tour of what's going on and the cities and what Gigi was just talking about as well. This is where that fire is headed right now. This is going to be the Brentwood area. That's going to be West Ridge Road that we're seeing right there. I'll bring up the map if you think we should do that. But take a look at all that reinforcement down there. Those are all firefighters. That's all going to be, they've just moved all those fire trucks into this area right there because they need structure protection, because those flames are definitely heading this way. That smoke you're seeing bellowing over there, that is new and fresh smoke that wasn't there just moments ago. Look at those flames. That is not a camera trick. They are right there. That is encroaching on those homes in the Brentwood area. As we get a little bit wider, I can show you some of that stuff that Gigi was talking about just moments ago. They were talking about the west, the Mountain Gate area. That's right here. Right now, that is not a part of the fire, not a part of the problem for the fire. That fire is definitely moving basically straight into the Brentwood area. They were also talking about those evacuations areas over here in the Encino area. Take a look at that. Those flames that were on those ridge lines overnight, very spectacular to see. Right now, the wind's kind of just laying flat right there, and that's a good and a bad type of thing, because all that fuel that's in that area now gone. So that fire basically kind of pushing back on itself, but there was a big push of fire or fuel right here by the Brentwood area. Those flames getting very, very close. We're listening on the scanner as well. I'm sure Gigi's got some information down there too. I don't know if they're even going to let her up into this area, but right now, this area right here, West Ridge Drive, and also the Cordelia Road, that's the area that they are really concerned about. They're moving their not all their people up there, but they are definitely moving fire trucks, structure protection in place, and the wind's definitely much lighter. This is not the type of situation we had a couple of days ago, but still, any kind of wind and those flames that close to those homes, firefighters are going to have work to do for sure. Sending it back to y'all in the studio.
Firefighters in those air assets, Stu, did an incredible job there when you're talking about slowing the progress of the fire towards the valley, right? And what have you seen in terms of those air attacks this morning?
Oh, this morning the air attacks were up for sure. We saw so much of it going on, and they were hitting it hard at this ridge line right here. Now, I can tell you, producer Christian has friends and family that live up in that area, and we were texting back and forth, and I kind of told him, I said I really wouldn't worry about it, but they wound up going under mandatory evacuations. Those flames got very, very close to the Encino area. That's what I'm showing you right there. So this is going to be the valley side of it. Let's bring up the map so you guys can kind of see some of those street names out there. So that's going to be the Encino Reservoir. So that's kind of a big landmark if you're up in, if you know this area. But they were talking about off of White Oak Boulevard, end of White Oak Boulevard. So that's going to be way out off in the distance. But yeah, they were concerned because of the winds changing, and the flames getting very close to that ridge line right there. But this morning, just in the couple of hours that Skyfox has been up, we've been up since about 4 o'clock this morning. And, you know, the difference is that winds really did change as soon as that sun came up. And you can see that those flames making their way over towards that Brentwood area. That is my concern right now, because take a look at that. That smoke definitely covering that area right now, those homes right there. Immediate danger with all those assets. I hope they can get this under control. There's also some brush clearance out here as well. But, you know, we watched it. We watched it all week long. A little bit of wind, a couple of embers. They might start having some problems out there, but boy, I tell you, they're ready for it this time.
How frightening would that be if it entered the Mandeville Canyon area? Firefighters doing a great job there overnight, but still very startling to see.
Absolutely, my goodness. All right, Stu, thank you.
Let's go over to Maria with a look at the forecast. Yesterday, we saw those winds die down, so it was incredible to see them sort of shift and come back and push the flames eastward.
Yeah, that was what we were anticipating, was that the offshore flow was going to weaken a bit, and we were maybe getting a little bit of an onshore flow, or that sea breeze, which did help to moderate that wind out of the northeast. So great concern over the San Fernando Valley, and firefighters worked very quickly, and I think I heard all those helicopters. There's water dropping helicopters going all night. The good news is that, as Stu has mentioned, as Gigi mentioned outside, that the winds have really significantly dropped in strength and in intensity, at least the prevailing winds anyway. We're getting kind of a mix of a north-northeasterly wind here, and mostly light, a little bit of a breeze in Ventura County, otherwise calm to light winds between 5 miles an hour or so. We've got an east-northeasterly wind closer to the San Gabriel Mountains out towards the Inland Empire and San Bernardino. You can see mostly light winds, Riverside 6 miles per hour. So firefighters taking advantage of this time period. We talked about that yesterday through today, and then winds will start to kick up again as we get to the afternoon. I wanted to show you this graphic because usually we talk about the pressure differences between weather systems. We're watching this area of low pressure right now, and it is off to our northeast, but this is helping to bring in some cold air, and that cold upper level support is what we talk about sometimes. So we're getting a bit of that cold air, and that's going to give us a little push or a nudge, slightly stronger winds out of the northeast a little bit later today. High pressure still in control of our weather, and if you notice the isobars, these are lines of equal pressure. They're not tightly packed together as they were earlier this week when we talked about that strong pressure difference, or that gradient between these two weather systems. So this also tells us and is indicating that the winds are going to continue to be on the lighter side this morning and then picking up a little bit later this afternoon. Temperatures are chilly as you head outside. Part of it, that cold air moving in from that area of low pressure. It's in the 30s up into Santa Clarita at this hour, in the 7 o'clock hour. 41 in Burbank, 40 in Camarillo, parts of Ventura County under a frost advisory, 42 in Apple Valley, 40 in Ontario right now, still in the 30s in Big Bear. In fact, the 24-hour temperature change, just to show you the difference between yesterday at this hour to today, it's 8 degrees cooler in Burbank. Look at Camarillo, 22 degrees cooler, 17 17 degrees cooler in Oxnard. Look at Corona, where the winds are much calmer. This also tells us where the winds are calmer, 30 degrees cooler than where we were yesterday at this hour. Big Bear, conversely, a little bit more breezy up there at the top, 14 degrees warmer. Similar conditions in Lancaster in the high desert, where we're getting some breezes, so it's slightly milder. Wildfire smoke will be a problem today, especially as those winds now coming out of the northeast again. That's going to be downwind parts of West LA County, so please limit your outdoor activity. That smoke alert still in place. Temperatures will be cooler today than yesterday. Highs will be closer to average in the 60s, 45 up into Big Bear.